Moving on to our film review today. I just watched Uncut Gems. Yeah, I was a little late to this party. Surprisingly, very popular. I mean, a lot of people that I know, like my friends and family that I know, have seen Uncut Gems. It's very weird. It's an A24 film, which is more of like they helm films that are a little bit more obscure or classified as indie, even though they're really not indie. They're have very high production value, but they're just, they're not mainstream films, and neither is this one. This is fits right into that category, high production value, but not mainstream at all. So I was kind of happy though because I love A24. If you are unfamiliar with the movie film studio of A24, I mean they've produced movies like Hereditary, The Lighthouse recently, Green Room, Lady Bird, The Disaster Artist, Swiss Army Man, Ex Machina, Good Time, which is a previous film of these filmmakers who made Uncut Gems, which I'll talk about a little bit. Enemy and Moonlight. Moonlight won Best Picture. I forget the year it came out. But yeah, and a lot of other movies. But I think those were like the main ones that I saw, the main recent ones that I saw when I looked A24 movies up. And I've seen all of them. I'll be that guy. All these films are amazing. So yeah. Yeah, I mean they mainly do horror films and dramas, and this kind of definitely fits. This is just a very intense film, and if you're unfamiliar with Uncut Gems, it's about well, let me just read the synopsis for you. With his debts mounting and angry collectors closing in, a fast-talking New York City jeweler risks everything in hopes of staying afloat and staying alive. It stars Adam Sandler, which is crazy, and I'll be talking about him later. The directors and writers are the Safdie brothers, Benny and Josh Safdie. If you're unfamiliar with them, if you've ever saw a film called Good Time, starring Robert Pattinson, they were responsible for that film, and that film is incredible, and it's very similar to this one. Very very intense, like holy crap film that never is very relentless. It never stops. It's always very intense throughout. Like you're gonna have high blood pressure while watching this film. Like it's very intense. Another thing that the Safdie brothers do incredibly well. I'm a fan of theirs. I really like Good Time, and I really like this film. Spoilers with my thoughts, but Good Time and this one have very similar qualities. Like I said, very intense film. It almost feels like I'm doing cocaine or some type of psychedelic drugs that make me hyper paranoid, and like it just makes you very like on edge. And it's mainly dealing with their directing style and the way they write dialogue. They do this really unique thing that I've never really experienced either in TV or film, is that they somehow they have multiple characters talking over each other at once, and it puts you very on edge and like very like, okay, holy, this is very chaotic. And that's really hard to do, especially as a writer. I mean, if you really pay attention to like your films that you watch, your TV shows, usually only one character is talking at one time. Usually, because if multiple characters are talking at once, it's very incoherent. But the Safdie brothers do it so well that it enhances the experience that they're trying to give you, which is a very intense, relentless type of experience that takes a hold of you and just shakes you for 2 hours, basically. That's pretty much how I would describe watching a Safdie brothers film, which isn't a bad feeling, but that kind of gives it kind of puts a little bit, adds to a little bit of criticism that I have. I mean, of both Good Time and Uncut Gems. Both of them are fantastic films. They both are. But like the rewatchability of both of them, I think this one's a little more rewatchable than Good Time, because Good Time, I mean, they both follow characters that are trying to do the right thing, but also kind of shitty people. So they're not very relatable, but like you kind of understand what they're doing and why they're doing the things that they are doing. And sometimes you just don't understand why they're doing that thing. Maybe they're just kind of pieces of shit. But I mean, that also kind of adds to like the tragedy of both of the films, because both of the films do also end in a similar thematic way. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of takes away the rewatchability of both of the films and kind of makes them suffer. I mean, they're both phenomenal films, and they're both films that I will recommend. But like, I'm not gonna. I would probably buy them to revisit them and maybe show other people. But like, I never feel like, oh, I'm gonna watch Good Time tonight. I'm gonna watch Good Time tonight. I'm gonna, have a potential heart attack and, watch this shitty dude go through awful shit. But yeah. But that's probably my only legitimate criticism I have of this one, which is what I had with Good Time, is that I think the rewatchability is just not quite there as opposed to some other films. But I also kind of want to discuss Adam Sandler for a bit. Is hands down the best part of this film. Adam Sandler gives. I mean, again, I'm very late to this party, but so I've seen pretty much every film that has come out in 2019, and I'll be discussing something that I'm going to be doing for next episode at the end of this episode with that. But I looked back at the Oscar nominations for Best Male Lead in a film, and he wasn't nominated. And I'm like, I remember saying a previous podcast that I had that I wasn't upset with the picks for the 2020 Oscar nominations. Yeah, I changed my opinion because this performance was one of the best of the year. I think other than Joaquin Phoenix and Joker, he was the best. Fact. He's incredible. He's incredible. I mean, it's kind of crazy how a lot of comedians have a lot of dramatic acting chops. Your Robert Williams, Jim Carrey, now Adam Sandler. A lot of them have a lot of really good dramatic, acting chops. And I think here it really gets put on display. He's so good. I mean, he's doing a lot physically. I mean, he puts his Adam Sandler, touch to the character of what's his name? I forget what his name was. What's his name? Howard Ratner. Howard. But yeah, it blows my mind that he wasn't nominated, because he was just so mind blowing in this one, and he makes the film, and he also he adds so much intensity because of his performance being actually very, very subtle too. I mean, it's eccentric a lot at times, but when it's subtle, there's a lot of range, and there's a lot that Adam Sandler has to do in this film. There's so much he has to do, so it blows my mind how good Adam Sandler was, and it really adds to the film. But yeah, does it have the movie magic? Does Uncut Gems have the movie magic, though? The Mikey's movie magic? Yeah, it definitely does. I think this and Good Time definitely do. Very, very good film. I mean, I would have to really think about it now. I'll definitely be revisiting this one, for sure, over time, because I just love films and I love experiences like this one. But I mean, I think for the more average moviegoer, might not enjoy this one as much as I would, since I'm a huge avid film fan. And I was actually looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score for this one, and it's a very large gap between the critic rating and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. The tomato meter score, the critic rating is 92%, which I definitely get. But then the audience score is a 52%. I mean, that's a 40% difference. That's a lot. So, but I also kind of understand. I mean, these A24 films aren't the most accessible movies of all time. They don't really connect with a mainstream audience as much as, an Avengers movie or a Disney movie would, obviously. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, if you like good films and you're struggling to find something to watch, I would definitely check this one out because it is a really good movie and it's really well made. It's incredibly well made. The Safdie brothers are very talented filmmakers. Love their synths in their musical scores. I will tell you that they love using synth themed soundtracks, which is very cool. I mean, it's very awesome. It adds a very weird type of like thematic element to it, I guess. I'm using the word thematic a lot, but yeah, I would love to see them write and direct a sci-fi film. I feel like that would be really interesting. That'd be very crazy. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Safdie brothers do next because their two films that I've checked out have been pretty great, and especially if I'm pretty sure they're the first like feature films that they've made that have been big. So I'm really looking forward to following their careers and seeing what they do next because this was really good. Uncut Gems is very good, but I understand why a normal moviegoer wouldn't like this one. It's a type of experience that if you don't like really like sheer intensity the entire runtime, maybe you can skip it, but I wouldn't recommend skipping this one. This one is really good.